time, it is my pleasure to invite Zara and Finette to the stage to introduce our guest speaker today. Please welcome Zara and Finette.
Black History Month began as a week of observation in 1925. It was founded by historian Carter G. Woodson, who saw that Black people were underrepresented in history books and wanted to correct that marginalization. It was originally celebrated during the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and abolitionist Frederick Douglass. In 1976, President Gerald Ford expanded the celebration to a month and urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of African Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. But why is Black History Month so important? First, Black history is still largely unknown and underappreciated. Secondly, Black history is part of the fabric of the founding and development of American politics, economics, and culture. Finally, Black history teaches us that collective struggle leads to progress. While Black history must be incorporated fully into a study of American history, Black History Month is a chance to further spotlight the accomplishments, experiences, and critical roles of African Americans in our country's history.
Our speaker today is Miss Chenele Shaw. Miss Shaw grew up in Central Florida surrounded by a wonderful Caribbean American family. Miss Shaw received a bachelor's degree in theology from Ave Maria University. She's a former youth minister and a high school teacher who currently hosts two podcasts, Our Sunday Visitor, Ave Spotlight, and Antidepressing. She often writes for organizations such as Our Sunday Visitor, the Grotto Network, and others. Ms. Shaw co-directs the Before Gethsemane Initiative, which provides resources and talks on how to teach against racism and xenophobia from an authentically Catholic perspective. She is a project lead for the Eucharistic Congress and is coordinating two pilgrimage routes for the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage. You can usually find her vintage shopping, talking to her therapist, or finding the newest local ice cream shop. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Chenele Shaw.
Wow, they're so fast. Okay, thank you. I sound really impressive, so let me go ahead and just set up my backpack. I'm going to put this down real quick, so pretend like I'm talking, so 1 second. I'm saying something really interesting while I'm opening up my notes. You guys are astounded. Wow. Yeah. Man. Gosh, okay, she's on the wrong page. All right, man, Chenele is just really saying some cool things. Gosh, thank you so much. Oh, she forgot to set her timer. Wow, she is just dropping truth bombs left and right. Okay, thank you so much. For the ladies that really went for it, thank you. Awesome. So, how are you guys doing? Good. How's your day? Good, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's a Tuesday and you're at school, so as good as it can go. But thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think it's great whenever I talk to anyone to just share a little bit about myself before I kind of launch into it. I think that it gives some opportunity for friendship. So this way, it won't just be some person talking with you, but it'll be, you know, by the time I'm done talking, we'll be really close. So I'll share a little bit about myself. My name is Chenele, or Miss Shaw. That sounds very nice too. But y'all can call me Chenele. I'm from Central Florida, so a tiny town in Florida called Deltona. Give it up. We just got a Walmart neighborhood market, so we are really rocking and rolling. They built a second McDonald's, so that's all right. We have a Chili's that is open till 11. Ooh, it's all right. So I am from a really small town in Florida. I grew up in a non-practicing Catholic family, so my family, we went to Mass on holidays, so Easter and Christmas when we went to church. And that was because my parents sent my younger sister, Camille, and I to a private Catholic school when we were growing up, so we could have great manners and we could go to a good school. The public school system in Florida is not awesome, so thankfully it worked. I'd like to think that I have pretty good manners. So we only went to church on Christmas and Easter and kind of whenever was required. We didn't really pray together or do any of those things outside of that. What's one more thing about me? I am a 2nd degree black belt. I know, it's getting intimidating. So I am a 2nd degree black belt, and my favorite movie is The Princess and the Frog. Thank you so much, even though she was only black for like 20 minutes in the movie, that's fine. She was a frog for so long. Disney already got my letters, so don't worry about it. And I love vintage shopping, I love record collecting, and eating ice cream, and finding anywhere that sells pastries, and just feeling my blood sugar rise. So I am pretty normal. I went to Ave Maria University in Southern Florida. I actually went to school with one of your teachers, and so special seeing her here. And I am just so, if you can figure out who it is, you'll win a prize. And so I'm just so excited to be here and to talk with you all. And so hopefully at this point now, we've become great friends. Do y'all feel pretty comfortable around me now? Yeah, okay, we're chill, so no sweat. So I'd love to talk with y'all a little bit about my experience when I was in high school. So when I was around your age, I went to a private Catholic school from preschool to 8th grade, and it was awesome, loved it. Wore the same clothes every day, didn't have to choose my own outfit, that rocked. It was just so fun, the food was poppin'. What else? Oh my gosh, loved getting out of class to go to Mass. Didn't love Mass for the fact that it's Mass, but loved just not having to sit in class. So a win is a win. And I loved just being around other young people and just having the opportunity to learn about Jesus, especially when I was younger. And then as I got older, my relationship with Jesus kind of became something where I just kind of thought Jesus was somebody that people used to make themselves feel better when things were hard. He wasn't actually like a real person. God wasn't real. It was just someone that people kind of used to placate themselves when things were challenging in their own lives. So that was kind of my experience with Jesus and God growing up when I was around your age. And then when I was in 8th grade, my parents got divorced. And they had told my younger sister and I that we were going to go to our local public high school, which I was so excited for. At my Catholic school growing up, it was myself, my younger sister, Camille, and this other young lady, Zoya. And we were the only 3 black people in our school. And I mean, it was awesome. Outside of the fact sometimes Zoya was in like 2nd grade and I was in 8th grade, sometimes people would call me Zoya and I was like, come on, right? And so outside of that, it was awesome. I loved my experience and my time at St. Peter's. But when I had the opportunity to go to public school, in my mind, I thought, man, this is going to be great. My limited perspective, I thought, this is gonna be just like High School Musical. Like, people are gonna dance. Oh, you guys thought the same thing, right? People are gonna dance, like there's gonna be music everywhere. I was like, there's gonna be so many brown people. I'm gonna make so many friends. I'm gonna learn hip hop. I don't know. And what is even learning hip hop? And so I was so excited to go to school. I was definitely on the more nerdy side, as you couldn't have already told from my little High School Musical tidbit. I had read the entire school yearbook and the entire school handbook to be prepared to go to school. So my first day of school, I wore shorts that went below my knees, a shirt, I'm not showing that shoulder, she's covered. Midriff, where? Covered, right? Hat, lunchbox, got it. ready. I was totally ready, 9th grade. I wish I could find the picture, but I'm almost really also glad that it just somewhere doesn't exist anymore. That my mom took of me my first day of high school. She dropped me off, and I'm standing in front of my high school with tears in my eyes, crying because I'm so scared to go to school. But my mom loves that picture. I actually think it's in our living room somewhere. I gotta find it. And it's just a picture of me holding my yearbook, or holding my lunchbox with tears going down my eyes, with my massive 3,000 person high school behind me. And I was so scared. And as we all do when we're scared, we try to find someone to help us feel better. And so my primary goal when I was in high school was to find community, was to find somebody that understood me, somebody that could make sense out of how I was feeling. Really nervous, really shook, as the cool kids say, right? Do you guys still say that? Wow. Oh, yikes. Okay, no. Pass. I didn't say it. So, just feeling really scared. And so I went to high school, tried to find community. That was my main goal. Really launched into it. I was accepted into this special program for students called the International Baccalaureate Program, the IB program. And so it was awesome. Loved it. Loved learning, loved being around other kids, loved being in high school. So fun. And the first thing that I wanted to do was make sure that these kids knew that I was cool. So I found the kids that were respected in my high school, which were the kids that didn't really do their homework, kind of lied to their parents, kind of skipped classes sometimes. Those were the kids that I was going to be friends with. So I launched right into it, became really good friends with them. I was the coolest out of the cool, if you can imagine. I wish I could find it. Glad it doesn't exist though. Had a pink streak in my hair, had a little pink weave that I used to wear all the time. Loved it, so cute. I got this part of my ear pierced, rock on. It was so great, and I just loved being accepted and in a community that I thought would motivate me to be the best person that I could be. Until I was in my sophomore year of high school. It was the summer going into my junior year, and I was laying in our guest room, just hanging out as kids do. And my mom came and she knocked on the door, and she said, "Chenele, I'd like to talk to you." Which, for all of us out there, that's pretty much the scariest thing that a parent could ever say to you, ever in your whole existence. So she said, "Chenele, I'd like to talk to you." And I said, sure. She probably wants to tell me how cool I am, what a great daughter I am, that I'm way better than my younger sister. Camille, you're great. And she walked in and she said, "Hey, I'd love for you to come to my room." Oof, scary. And I just kind of I want you to come and listen to something. So I went to her room, right? Cool. She's great. She's her. I walk into her room. I get in there. These are back in the days where there were home phones. And so we had our home phone, our little voicemail. Blinker light was going. And my mom said, "Chenele, go ahead and press that button." And it's so scary when your parent is kind of like, "Go ahead and do that thing." And you're just kind of waiting, and you're like, "Well, what's going to happen?" But not Chenele, because she's better than ever. So I pressed the button, and it said, "Beep. Your daughter, Chenele," because Chenele's really hard. "Your daughter, Chenele, has been terminated from DeLand High School," which is my high school. So I'm standing there, and my mom's sitting on her bed. I love my mom. Now she's everything to me. I love her. I was horrible to her when I was in high school, but now she's my best friend. She's the best. And I always laugh about this, because she was sitting on her bed with her legs crossed, just like this, as the voicemail was playing. So they said, "Your daughter, Chenele, has been terminated from DeLand High School." And my mom said, "Hey, Chenele, could you let me know what that means?" My mom is exceptional. She's so intelligent. She's a nurse practitioner. She worked for 30 years in the emergency room. I mean, she knows what terminated means. And so I'm standing there and I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I can't even come up with a lie fast enough. For years and years, I had been lying to my mom about what my grades were, because I had not been doing any of my homework. I had not really been trying. And so for years, I had been telling her, coming home, and she had no reason to believe that I wasn't telling the truth. I'd been coming home and saying, oh yes, I made the dean's list. I don't even know what that is. I made the dean's list. I made the principal's list. I went to a special lunch just for me because I'm so smart. And my mom all the while was like, that's great. So imagine then sitting in your house and being like, you're terminated from high school. You no longer, school starts in 2 weeks, just tell her not to show up. So my mom, being as awesome as she is, got me in the car and we drove to my high school and met with our counselor. And we sat down and my mom said, gosh, got this voicemail, what's that about? So crazy, right? And my counselor said, it's actually not crazy because I've been sending letters to your house. Oof. Yikes, guess who got those letters first? She sat down and she said, Miss Shaw, your daughter has a 0.5 GPA. Oosh, that's a bummer. A 0.5 is essentially like, your daughter knows what her name is, but also we're still not really sure. And so she said, your daughter has a 0.5 GPA, and I mean, she doesn't even have enough to be in this program, but she definitely doesn't have enough to be in this high school. And so I'm sitting there, I'm trying to look at all the pictures on the wall. My mom is gripping the back of my neck so hard. I almost feel like she's just gonna pop my head off my neck. And I'm thinking to myself, was this community worth it? Obviously I had a role to play, but were the people that I was surrounding myself with really worth everything that I was going through in that moment? Yeah. And so I went home and my mom and dad were like, here's the deal. We're a united force now, and here's the deal. Punishment. The only thing that you're allowed to go to is high school youth group. And I was like, gosh, my dad, I mean, we're not practicing anything. At that point, I had been going on summer mission trips because there was this boy I liked. Y'all know the deal. I'd been going on these summer mission trips because there was this boy I liked, and I just kind of wanted to hold his hand during the Our Father, so you know how that works. And so my parents were just like, we don't go to youth group. You don't participate in that. We don't go to church, but we know that those kids probably do their homework. And they probably also don't lie to their parents. And for all my people out there, Black parents just giving you a punishment outright and not yelling at you for 10 hours is a gift from above. That's ordained by Jesus Christ. And so my parents united in that moment, and they said, the only thing that you're allowed to go to is high school youth group. So I said, sure, whatever, as a cool kid does. And I was invited to a high school retreat at the school that I went to had a church attached, so it was the school that I grew up at. And I went begrudgingly, so I didn't really want to be there. I showed up, all these kids, they're like, oh yes, God is real. Yes, we're so happy you're here. Yelling, right? They're trying to hug me. Right? They're trying to tell me how beloved I am. Wow, chill out. They're talking about how Jesus changed their lives. Oh gosh, relax. It's a lot, You know, sometimes when the energy's like here and you're here, and you're kind of like, you should just press pause just a little bit. And so I came and I was that kid. Didn't really want to be there, showed up. Showed up because there was pizza and my mom wasn't there. And so we were there for the first 2 days. It was a sleepaway retreat as well. So for the first 2 days, I was in a small group. I didn't answer any questions. I sat there, stone-faced, and I thought, when I get out of this, I'm going to tell all my friends how lame this was. Because I have a point to prove. And I remember before the retreat started, standing, waiting to get picked up from school. And I told my friend Thomas, because he asked what I was doing that weekend. And I said, I'm going to this retreat, but God's not real anyway. I'm just gonna kind of go and check the vibe. And I think Tyler's going. I wonder what Tyler's up to right now. Who knows? I don't know. Probably not doing this. So I know that Tyler's going, and I don't know. I just kind of feel like my mom's not gonna be there, and it's 3 days away from my parents, so I'll go. And I remember saying that. And then the second day of the retreat, in the evening, we had some time to pray together as a group. Definitely didn't want to be there for that. Sat way in the back. And the whole hour, I was just so mad because I had tried so hard to make friends and to be in a space where I felt understood. There were so many things that were always different about me growing up. I had massive anxiety. I had massive depression. It was myself and my sister were the only two brown people in school. I wasn't that really good at school. I wasn't exceptionally great at sports. And so I just didn't really know where I landed. But for once, I thought I had found people that understood me. And if that meant that I had to lie to everyone around me, then that's fine. So I was so mad. And then the last 5 minutes of our prayer time together, my youth minister, who's still now my really good friend, he stood at the front and he said, God is real. And if he is who we all say he is, then our life has to be different. And as a teen, I love a challenge. So he said, your life has to be different. And it really got me thinking, how does my life reflect who Jesus is? How does my community reflect the community that God wants for me? It definitely didn't. So I'd love for y'all, for a second, I'd love for y'all to just, in your seats, just get into a comfortable position. So if you're uncomfortable right now, figure out a way to get comfy, outside of laying on the ground and going to sleep. All right, loosen your legs. This girl knows it. Good, I like that vibe. All right, she's straight, legged out, arms crossed, love it. Okay, find a way to get comfortable. And I want you to think in your own life, who is Jesus to you? And maybe to make it a little easier, because we're with our friends, which I totally get the vibe, let's close our eyes. Let's double this. And my eyes are open, so I know if your eyes are not closed. And I'll look you right in the eyes if your eyes are open. So who is Jesus to you? It might just be somebody that you see at school, maybe somebody that the sisters talk about, maybe somebody that your parents talk about, maybe someone that you're a youth minister that you're not really interested in youth group, but you kind of go because your parents make you, talks about. In what ways does your life reflect who Jesus is? In what ways does your life not reflect who Jesus is? How can you change your life to reflect exactly what you proclaim every day? That Jesus Christ is Lord. How does your community reflect who Jesus is? Who do you surround yourself with? How does what you say reflect who Jesus is? How do you speak? How do you treat those around you? I'd love to do an exercise with y'all. My dear friend, and you can open your eyes. I know, you gotta get a good look at this outfit. My dear friend, Jasmine, who is a mental health counselor, all the time talks with me about grounding exercises. So essentially, a grounding exercise is something that you can use, even when you're by yourself, to kind of bring yourself back down to earth. Whenever you're feeling massive anxiety, stress, kind of overwhelmed about the general state of life. Which I don't know if it's only me, but that's like 95% of my life. And so I really like to use this exercise. It helps me to feel better when I'm feeling exceptionally overwhelmed and stressed. And I also want to say that after that retreat in high school, when I took on that challenge of really having my life reflect who Jesus is, I really full sent into youth group. So I went to youth group like every day after that. Every Sunday, I was there, bells and whistles. I went to youth group every Sunday. I tried my best to learn how to pray. I learned songs. I learned reflections, everything. I had applied for a Catholic college. I'd gotten in. I found community there. I really found people who encouraged me to be my best. And it was awesome. And years later, as our story doesn't end, because thank God I'm still here, years later, the things that I was experiencing, struggling with, my anxiety, my depression, all of those things, I was helped by my community and the people around me, which was awesome. And so by the grace of God, I found an awesome therapist. Shout out to Lauren. I think we're best friends, she does not, which is professional, good for her, I guess. And so I found a great therapist. I found wonderful medication that are antidepressants that help me function every day and be my best. And I had the opportunity to truly reflect on who Jesus is and who I say he is and make my life match that with the people I surround myself with and with how I am as a person. But every once in a while, life becomes life and you still get overwhelmed, you still get stressed. So I like to do this exercise, which again, I'm gonna ask you guys to kind of get in a comfortable position. So if you've uncomfortable yourself, I'd like for you to comfortable yourself. Wow, I love it. Half of this section is just fully backwards. Love it. Okay. Yeah, you can follow the vibe. Yeah, check it. They're just laying straight back. You can do that too. Love it. Love it. Okay. The girl with her eyes closed, head straight to the side. I think you might be asleep. Love that too. Okay. Love it. Awesome. So I'd love to do this grounding exercise with you all as I kind of close out my time. Okay. So this is for the adults too, if you're in the room. All right, I'd love for you to take a deep breath. And the cool thing about taking a deep breath is that the least stressful way on your own body to take a deep breath is actually you don't hear it. So if you're taking a deep breath like, and you hear it, that's kind of jarring, right? Was that kind of scary? The least kind of stressful and impactful way in your own body is if you don't hear yourself take a deep breath. So I'd love for you guys to take a deep breath. And take a deep breath out. And I'd love for you to think of 5 things that you can touch. If it's the person next to you, if it's your own seat. What are 5 things that you can feel? Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. I'd love for you to think of 4 things that you can smell. I love hearing all the noses going. What are 4 things that you can smell? Maybe it's your own perfume for this morning. Shout out to my mom for throwing that in my suitcase. Maybe it's your shampoo. Maybe it's the laundry detergent on your sweater. Shout out to our parents for washing our clothes. All right, think of 4 things that you can smell. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. I'd love for you to think of 3 things that you can hear. Maybe it's my voice. Maybe it's the sound of the air conditioner. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I'd love for you to open your eyes and think about 2 things. Let's focus on 2 things that you can see. What are 2 things around you that are drawing your attention? All right, let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let's drop our shoulders. And if your jaw feels tight, let's unlock that. And let's think of 1 thing that you're grateful for. Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it the community that you have? Is it your environment? 1 thing that you're grateful for. It might be the person sitting next to you. I'd love for you to take a deep breath in. I love that. I absolutely love that. And a deep breath out. And lastly, I'd love for you all to think about 1 way that you'd like to be Jesus to others. It can be a tangible way. You can say, maybe when I leave this theater, I'm gonna tell someone that I love their skirt, which looks significantly different than my outfit. Or it can just be a way like, I'm going to pray for this person that's with me. Or I'm going to pray for someone that asked for me to pray for them. Whatever it is, how can you be Jesus to another person? So I'd love for you guys to sit back up for me. Wow, oh my gosh, beautiful. I love seeing all of your faces. And as I kind of close out my time with you all, I really want to encourage you to think about if Jesus is who we say he is, right? Who we proclaim that he is every Sunday at Mass, when we're at school, when we're praying, when we're talking about him, if he is that guy, how does our life reflect that? Are you living in a way that reflects who Jesus is? Is your community a community of people that encourage you to be your best? Whether that's at school or at home or wherever you are. So I leave you guys with that. And I would love to pray with y'all, as I know that everyone loves to pray. And so if you could get yourself in a comfortable posture, no leaning back. Oh, saw that. If you can get yourself in a comfortable, upright posture, and I'd love to pray with you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you, God, for everything that you've given us. Thank you for the opportunity to be co-workers in your vineyard. Thank you for our community. Thank you for the people around us. And thank you for dying for each one of us on the cross. Thank you for all of our gifts. All of our talents, everything that makes us unique. Thank you for the people that love us. And thank you for this day, which we're so grateful to be a part of. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thank you, guys. I'll follow them. Perfect. Yeah.
Well, welcome, Ms. Shaw. I'm Ava Jemison, a senior here at St. Cecilia.
And I'm Dee Meokeja, junior. Thank you for being here today. We wanted to ask you some questions on behalf of our fellow students.
Love. Can't wait.
So we are curious about your experiences in majority white schools. So we would like to know, how did your school experiences affect your self-esteem heading into adulthood?
Ooh, love that question. Well, when I was younger, I went to primarily white schools. And I really didn't focus a lot on my own culture and myself being a Black Catholic woman. I just really kind of threw myself into like, we're all children of God, which we all are. But the things that make you different are actually really special. And so growing up though, I didn't really see that. And so my self-esteem wasn't really high. I think that was a lot of the reasons why I had anxiety, general anxiety, just feeling like whether as the only brown person in my school, I had to, besides my sister and Zoya, that I had to be kind of the shining example of a Black woman, and just carry that throughout my whole life when I was growing up. And thankfully, when I got older and I met other Black Catholics and just other people that were really encouraging in my community, I learned that I don't have to be the best, I just have to be myself. And it was really encouraging and good for me and helped my self-esteem a lot, especially being in spaces where I was the only woman of color, whether it's at my job, which I am, or whether it's, at my parish or at my school. And so just reflecting on being the best version of myself has taken away a lot of that pressure, rather than kind of comparing myself with other people. So.
Thank you. We've had a focus on civil discourse at our school over the past few years, but sometimes that is easier said than done. Do you have tips for how to have meaningful but polite conversations about racial issues?
Good question. Okay, so is this question posed as like you all trying to speak with someone if they had done something to you, or if someone had done something to you and they're trying to talk to you? Which
Either one.
Either one?
General.
Vibes. So I think one of the most important things in my work in like social justice work, one of the most important things that I've learned is that relationship precedes catechesis, just meaning having a relationship with someone is before catechizing them, right? And teaching them something. And so sometimes when you want to have a conversation with someone, a good example, if you're on like social media and say someone posts something like, I don't know, say someone posts like, Nicki Minaj deserved a Grammy, right? She did. Right? And I jump into their DMs and I say, no, she didn't. How could you say that? You don't know anything. She's the best. Megan Thee Stallion, whatever, right? And I jumped in their DMs and I'm yelling at them and I'm chastising them and etc. I don't know that person. I don't have a relationship with them, right? Any kind of conversation, civil discourse that we have, a relationship has to precede the catechesis. A relationship doesn't always have to mean like I have to sit down and have tea with you once a week before I can tell you that, hey, I think what you said was kind of discriminatory. But it does mean that we should have a fair knowledge of who we're speaking to and what their background is and what they're speaking about before we speak with them and to them. And so that's always really helpful for me, especially when I'm gaining perspective. If someone says something that was whether they were being ignorant on purpose or ignorant because they don't know anything. And so that's really helpful. And then the second thing that I'd recommend is just preparing that person for that conversation. Because I think so many times we can have something really good to say. So maybe we'll say like, oh, this person said something really mean about this person. And then we'll immediately be like, hey girl, I gotta tell you something. This person said something really mean about you. Bye. Is that helpful? No. Because you're just kind of existing, and you're like, great, I don't even want my peanut butter and jelly now. I'm not even hungry. Because now this person just came and told me this horrible thing, and I'm having to process it without being prepared. So it's appropriate to prepare each other before we have conversations. Whether that means, hey, can I talk to you? Do you have the space? Do you have the capacity to kind of hold a conversation right now, or for me to share something with you? Easy enough. So that's what I would recommend.
We are also curious about Black history. What figure in Black history or from the present day inspires you the most?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. Well, okay, non-famous, but she should be, my mother. She's amazing. If y'all met her, you would be shook. Not cool, not cool. If y'all met her, you would love her. She's amazing. So, non-famous, my mother, she's great. She is an icon, as they say, right? Thank you. Oh, painful. And so my mother is probably my non-famous example. Of famous and kind of more notable, if we're talking about people in Catholic spheres, I have a dear friend, her name is Gloria Purvis. She is a social commentator, which I would definitely recommend. She has a podcast that's amazing, and she's awesome. She's a Black woman, she's great, she's so knowledgeable, and she just will be in the mix with anybody. So if you want to talk to her about something, she's doing it. She's not afraid of anyone. She'll be the only Black woman in the room, and she'll say what she needs to say. And she's great, and she's so brave. And she's just really, to me, models someone that I'd like to be like when I'm older, that speaks in an authentic way of who they are, without feeling pressed that nobody else might share that same experience. And or that you might share who you are and what you're struggling with, and people still don't understand what you're feeling or what you're saying, which I think for a lot of us can be really hard when we share about how we're feeling or what's going on in our own hearts and minds, and people still walk away not understanding. So Gloria Purvis is mine, and my mom, and I love St. Josephine Bakita. I'll throw her in too. She's great, love her. She's my confirmation saint, and yeah.
Finally, we love to get Finally, we love to get to know you a little better. Who influenced you when you were growing up?
Ooh. Okay, who influenced me when I was growing up? Let's see. Yes, okay. Who influenced me when I was growing up? Oh gosh. Hannah Montana. Saw that movie in theaters as a high schooler, cried. Oof. Let's see. Who influenced me when I was growing up? Well, definitely my high school youth minister. He is amazing. He has been through a lot with his own family. When my parents got divorced, that was exceptionally hard for me growing up. And his parents had gotten divorced as well, and just kind of seeing how he navigated that was really influential to me, to show me that I could still be a healthy person, even though I was going through a lot with that whole thing. And then, yeah, so in church spaces, definitely my youth minister, definitely as I got older, my friends like Gloria, my other friend Chika and Yawu, she's amazing. She's a speaker, and she is so cool, super Nigerian. For any Nigerians, are you Nigerian? Yeah. That's what I thought. Super proud people, one of the proudest cultures, I think, of the diaspora. And she's just amazing. So just having friends that are great and wonderful, and yeah, just having a community of people that are always trying to be their best is really helpful for me. My friend Jasmine, my goddaughter, who's 5, is teaching me every day to be less of a horrible person. Yeah, just the people that I surround myself with really influence me a lot and help me to be better. So.
Okay. What do you love about being Black?
What does that mean? It's like, I love this question. Let's see. Okay. I love this question. What do I love about being Black? Well, first, let's start surface. When I put on like sunscreen during the summer, or like shimmer oil, and I walk outside and I'm like Edward in Twilight, just glistening, glittering, love it. Love the way my skin catches the light, absolutely love it. And so that's surface. I just love being brown, actually being brown. I think it's beautiful. I love how far and wide our culture goes, and our ancestral background, and how much it influences current culture. I love being the kind of the, what's the word, like the starters of cultural trends. I think that's great. I'm a horrible dancer, but I love seeing, a young Black woman create a dance and then it go viral. I love how we are thoughtful. I love our community. I love how I will see another Black person somewhere and do like a silent nod, and there's a mutual understanding. And probably for the rest of, the people of color in the room, there's that same kind of feeling of like, you'll see maybe someone else that's Latino or someone else that's Asian, and you're like, and there's just this thing that's like, yeah, I see you, you see me, we see each other, and you're just always kind of have a mutual understanding. So I love that. Love being brown. It's the best. Yep.
How can the Catholic Church promote racial healing?
I love this question. So the church actually has a lot of documents that she has come out with that are wonderful, that address racial injustice, that I'll definitely, send to your teachers, that you all can discuss. So she's done a good job of saying how God believes that we should be and treat one another, which has been wonderful. I do think that in a more recent space, especially after the events of 2020 and everything that happened, and I know a lot of Black people, including myself, felt really isolated at their parishes, in their youth groups, etc. And I think the church could do a better job at reflecting various cultures in their sanctuaries, in their homilies, at their celebrations, and just having more of an intentional standpoint on what diversity looks like in the church as a universal church, without it being just a February kind of dedication. And it kind of being something that's so normalized that people are just like, oh yeah, this is St. Moses the Black in my church, or this is St. Josephine Bakhita, or this is, whoever it is. And it's just like regular. Or these people are incorporated in my catechesis, and that's totally regular. And so I think she could do a better job there. And it takes each one of us to kind of lift that up and do that. So I think that would help people feel less of a stress, I think.
What impact does racism have on your confidence and self-esteem?
From light to deep. Okay. Deep question. So when a couple years ago, during 2020, I was exceptionally experiencing depression, and it was before I was on medication that helped me, and I really felt like I was at a very low point where I wasn't understood by other people. I would go to Sunday Mass, and all of these horrific things were happening on the news and in real life. At the time, I lived in Philadelphia, which if any of you have ever been there, it's so intense. People, when I lived there, they were like, you're just too nice to live here. So you gotta be really edgy. And so I was just exceptionally depressed, exceptionally sad. And I think the hardest thing was feeling like I just wasn't understood by anyone. And no one was really trying to understand how sad I was, because it's hard to see something sad happen just day to day, but every day is so different, and then when you try to use your escapes of like, I'm gonna go on Instagram, or I'm gonna go on TikTok, or I'm gonna go somewhere, then it's just people reposting things or people commenting on things, and you're like, gosh, I just can't escape it, and it's everywhere. And then the only time that people want to talk to you is when it's like sympathetic. Like, oh, we just saw that thing on the news and we're so sorry. And even if you hadn't seen it, now you're immersed in it. and you can't escape it. And so I think feeling like nobody really understood the depth of my sadness during that time, and really sat with me rather than spoke at me, was really hard. But thankfully, I found some great community of young Black women that really helped me to kind of get out of that. And shout out again to Lauren, my therapist, who she probably hates these shout outs, because she said, we are absolutely not friends, Chenele, you gotta stop telling people that. And so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time, experience, and knowledge with us. In closing, could you share one piece of advice you have for St. Cecilia students?
Sure. Well, thank you guys for having me. This has been such a blast, and you all are so cute. So I would say my one piece of advice would be, I would really, really challenge y'all to be for real about how you treat each other. And not in a way where I don't want you guys to like walk outside and like throw sand on yourself and like throw yourself in the ground and be mad because you said something sassy to someone. You don't have to like torture yourself. But I think it's important to be serious and for real about how you treat one another. And I think being intentional, which just means like being really focused and making a commitment to being kind to each other is like life-changing. And sometimes with, being kind to one another, etc., the best thing that you can do is actually just be with someone else. And you don't actually have to talk. And you don't have to problem solve. And I think if more of us listen to each other, it would make the world a lot better. So my advice would be to just think about how you treat each other and spend some time to listen to a friend today. And I know we only have like 10 seconds, but I actually have to tell you guys something. So the other day, did you guys see on what was formerly known as Twitter, Elmo posted a tweet that said, how is everybody doing? Or how are you doing? And people commented and they were like, honestly, Elmo, I'm doing pretty bad. Honestly, Elmo, I'm at the end of my limit. Or some people commented, honestly, Elmo, I've never been more tired in my life. And Elmo tweeted back and he said, wow, Elmo's glad that he asked. And then the whole Sesame Street cast tweeted out like, hey, Big Bird was like, hey, if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm here too. Snuffleupagus was like, hey, you guys, you want to talk to me? You can slide into my DMs too. And then Sesame Street posted Sesame Street /mental health. And they encouraged everybody to ask their peers how they're doing. And they just said the simplest thing that you can do is actually listen to someone. So that would be my advice, and Elmo's advice is just to listen to your friends.
Black history is more important today than ever. We have much to learn from listening to the experiences of people in our community. A dedicated group worked hard to plan this month's events. Would the members of the Black History Month Committee please stand? Sister John Catherine for supporting our Black History Month efforts and helping us to build a community of culture and belonging. Ms. Shaw, thank you so much for sharing your journey and wisdom with us. We have all grown from hearing your insight.
Please accept this gift as a small gift of our appreciation.
Thank you guys, you're so nice. I don't even know what it is, but I love presents. Thank you.